There was a thrilling finale in Group F at Euro 2020. Spain have got their mojo back. There's controversy at Copa America, Milan want Chelsea trio, and a transfer roundup all coming up on today's OneFootball Daily News. As I'm your host, Angelina Kelly, let's get into it. Last night was utterly thrilling in Group F as France, Germany and Portugal have all qualified to the knockout round of the competition. And as France faced Portugal, it was penalties galore as the game ended 2-2. Firstly, Cristiano Ronaldo had an amazing night. He is just breaking record after record after record. So he has now equalled the men's all-time international goal scoring record with the 2 penalties that he scored last night. And the first one actually meant that he became the outright European top goal scorer in major competitions with 20 goals. Whilst all eyes were on Ronaldo, it was also a great night for Karim Benzema. He scored 2 goals for France, his first goals for the national team since 2015. It was also a great night for Paul Pogba, who provided him with a fantastic assist, and Kylian Mbappe. Both players caused Portugal so many problems, although neither managed to get on the score sheet. They will now, of course, face Switzerland in the next round, and I'm pretty confident that they'll be able to get the job done. It was a frantic evening as all 4 teams were moving into different positions in the group as the night went on. Portugal may be a little bit disappointed that they did come in third, however, they've still qualified, but they will be facing Belgium. It is going to be a tough task, but going into the next round, there are some positives for Portugal to take. Their goalkeeper made some really great saves. Renato Sanchez was fantastic in midfield. And of course, they have Cristiano Ronaldo. He is leading the race for the Golden Boot, and it wouldn't surprise me if he once again comes to Portugal's rescue and saves the day in the next round of this competition. Meanwhile, Germany, of course, managed to progress to the next round, only just, however. Now, they, of course, faced Hungary. They were 2-1 down with 6 minutes to go out of the competition, and thankfully Leon Goretzka managed to make it 2-2. Germany did manage to start the game pretty brightly. They had some really good chances, and every time that they went down to Hungary, they were still trying to press and respond, but at times they just couldn't find a clear-cut chance. However, they have progressed, they're in second, and they will actually be facing England, their old rivals, in the next stage of the competition. Some may argue that England have had a calmer group stage, not too many dramas compared to Germany. However, when these 2 teams face each other, you just cannot call what's going to happen. Next up and over in Group E, and they had their fair share of drama as well, particularly between Spain and Slovakia, as Spain thrashed them 5-0. They now finish second in the group, and could it be that Spain have finally got their mojo back and we are seeing the real Spain arrive at Euro 2020? Before this fixture, Luis Enrique's team didn't really have much to shout about. Although they did have great possession, they were struggling with goals, but obviously they do seem to have turned things around now. Alvaro Morata, he did miss a penalty, Spain's 5th consecutive penalty that they've missed. They definitely need to work on that, and I'm sure that Slovakia's goalkeeper was feeling pretty happy with himself until he scored an own goal by punching the ball into his own net. However, it wasn't all his fault. There was another own goal scored by Slovakia as well. Unfortunately, they didn't really manage to bring much to the game. They didn't really challenge Spain, and unfortunately, they are now out of the competition. It was also a great night for Spain's Aymeric Laporte, who scored his first international goal ever. I'm sure that Enrique will be breathing a sigh of relief as we finally saw the Spain that we know and love from previous tournaments. Now, they may not be on that same level of the Spanish sides of 2008 and 2012, but I'm sure this win will give them some much needed confidence as they face Croatia in the knockout round. Meanwhile, in the other Group E game, it was a captivating match between Sweden and Poland. Sweden were 2-0 up. Robert Lewandowski managed to claim 2 goals back for Poland. It was 2-2, and Sweden crushed Poland's dreams in the 93rd minute with the winning goal. It's a shame for Poland as they do bow out of the competition, but meanwhile for Sweden, they have had a fantastic group stage, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they bring to the table as they face Ukraine in the round of 16. And don't forget, you can find plenty more Euro content not only on the OneFootball app, but on the Volkswagen OneHub as well, so make sure you check them out. And if you're watching on YouTube, the link is directly below this video. Next up on last night, match day 4 out of 5 of the Copa America group stage was kick-started with some really interesting results. So Ecuador faced Peru. They were 2-0 up and looking pretty comfortable. However, Peru came back with vengeance in the second half as they managed to equalise and get 2 goals within 10 minutes of the second half. What this means for Ecuador is that they now could potentially face elimination out of the competition as they are at the bottom of the table with Venezuela. And to make matters worse, their final group game will actually be against Brazil. Meanwhile, speaking of Brazil, and they managed to completely and utterly stun Colombia with their 100th minute goal from Casemiro, which was the winning goal in an unlikely come-from-behind win for Brazil. Colombia, despite not having the likes of Radamel Falcao or James Rodriguez, they still managed to look pretty impressive. and they scored the first goal thanks to Luis Diaz, who scored arguably the best goal of the competition so far with an incredible scissor kick volley. However, this is not where the controversy lies. It actually lies with Brazil's first goal from Roberto Firmino. Now, in the build-up to the goal, the ball actually hit the referee, who allowed play to continue rather than doing a ball drop. And what this meant is that Colombia were absolutely outraged. There were lengthy protests from them, and this just means that this defeat will be even harder for them to swallow. Brazil, however, are sitting pretty at the top of their group as they head into the final round of games. Meanwhile, for Colombia, they have actually played all of their matches in the group stage, so they're just going to have to sit tight and keep their fingers crossed that they are still able to progress to the next round. And next up, we are heading to AC Milan, who have already had a pretty busy transfer window, but they are in the market for 3 more players that are all coming from Chelsea. We have already seen the arrival of Fikayo Tomori on a permanent deal from Chelsea, but apparently this is just not good enough for AC Milan. They want 3 more players from the club in a bid to ensure that they can still be competing with Inter Milan at the top of Serie A next season. The first name in this trio is Olivier Giroud, which doesn't come as too much of a surprise as he has been linked with the club for quite a while now. And according to Sky Sports in Italy, his agent has already actually agreed a 2-year deal with the club. The deal at the San Siro will be €3.5 million per season plus bonuses. And this one definitely makes sense. Of course, we've heard rumours that Chelsea are in the market for a new striker, with Harry Kane and Erling Haaland being linked to the club. So Giroud departing doesn't come as too much of a surprise, especially when you consider the roster of players that Chelsea already have before they make any more signings. And with Mario Mandzukic having departed from AC Milan, it makes sense that they would want another striker. And if Giroud does sign for the club, it will be interesting to see how he links up with Zlatan Ibrahimovic. However, one name that is being talked about as a potential replacement for Hakan Çalhanoğlu is Hakim Ziyech. He is allegedly at the top of AC Milan's priority list. Now, they are being realistic as they are considering likes of James Rodriguez, Jendrik Under and Thomas Lemar from Atletico Madrid, but apparently Ziyech is who they want. While Chelsea's attacking midfield is pretty busy with the likes of Kai Havertz and Mason Mount also in the mix, despite injuries, Ziyech has still managed to get some decent playing time, almost 40 appearances for the club. And like I say, he's only been at the club for 1 year, so I cannot imagine Chelsea being willing to let him go. And to complete the trio of signings, Milan have one player on their mind who has already actually been at the club on loan, and this is defensive midfielder Tamiriya Bakayoko. Now, Bakayoko has, like I say, already been at the club. He hasn't actually played for Chelsea since 2018. He's also had a loan spell at Napoli recently, where he managed over 40 appearances, actually managed 2 goals and 2 assists as well, and could be a good option for Milan. Of course, Tullio Almighty has returned to Torino after a loan spell with Milan, so they are thinking that this Chelsea player could be an option to replace him. Of course, he will be alongside the likes of Sandro Tonali in defensive midfield, and it could be a good move for the player as well, especially since his contract with Chelsea expires next year, and after so many different loan spells, to actually have a permanent club where he has got playing time could be a really great bonus for him. I guess we'll have to wait and see if Milan do manage to get this trio of signings. I'm not too sure about Ziyech, but when you look at Chelsea's squad, it is pretty big, and they do always seem to be linked with signing new players. So I guess cutting back on a couple of players that they don't need, recouping a little bit of money, may not be a bad idea. And finally, we come to our transfer roundup. This is where I take a look at some of the other news and transfers going on in the footballing world. And first up, according to Marca, Lionel Messi has got Barcelona on the edge of their seat. His contract expires in 1 week, and he is still apparently contemplating if he wants to sign a new deal. PSG have reportedly managed to make a deal with Inter Milan for Achraf Hakimi, with the player allegedly set to arrive at the club for €70 million, including add-ons. Tottenham are allegedly planning on holding talks with Nuno Espirito Santo over the job at the club, especially after Sevilla's Julian Lopetegui allegedly rejected it. And finally, Manchester City have reportedly stated that if they are unable to sign Harry Kane this summer, then they are happy to wait another year before they sign a striker. So that's it for today's OneFootball Daily News. As always, check out all the other content that we've got here, and until next time, I will see you all later.